Tonight on Joy News Prime, gunmen attack shop offering financial services in the Ashanti regional capital Kumasi Tuesday afternoon and make away with over 140,000 cedis.
The moment one shot says he make a tender, and today heads and a mayor call no washroom honor. So I wouldn't know if some come home and I wouldn't know where I would have been.
Laboratory scientists call off strike over deployment of 2 medical doctors to the Laboratory Services Directorate of the Kumasi Teaching Hospital.
The recent ruling of an Accra-based High Court and the goodwill we have received from the Parliament Select Committee on Health and the Ministry of Health to help resolve all the issues that caused the industrial action.
The announcement was made at a meeting convened by Parliament's Select Committee on Health. We'll bring you details. Achimota School fights court ruling ordering it to admit 2 Rastafarian students it denied enrollment in March. This year, we got a reaction from one of the parents of the boys. President Akufo-Addo says government is aiming to make Ghana the #1 country in Africa on the press freedom ranking, arguing government needs an unfettered media.
It cannot be right, no matter where in the world, the journalists are physically attacked or prevented from doing their work.
Some Ghanaian journalists who were at the conference where the president spoke are unconvinced they enjoy the needed freedom to go about their work.
I am extremely careful and mindful of my surroundings, my movements, and all that.
My concern is the attacks on reporters. We shouldn't be seeing them in this day and era.
In business, Bank of Ghana makes significant progress with issuance of a digital currency. We'll hear from the governor.
We'll have a pilot phase where a few people would be able to use it and use this electronic CD.
My name is Israel Lai. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Founder Studios at Kokomilimi here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV because you're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. The Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists has called off its strike over what it says are efforts to make doctors their superiors in various hospitals. The strike, which started as a disagreement between lab scientists at the Kumasi Teaching Hospital, subsequently escalated into a full-blown nationwide industrial action. President of the Ghana Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, Dr. Abu Rahmani, announced the decision to call off the strike at a meeting with Parliament Health Committee Tuesday.
The recent ruling of an Accra-based High Court and the goodwill we have received from the Parliament Select Committee on Health and the Ministry of Health to help resolve all the issues that caused the industrial action. We therefore wish to appeal to our members of the CAT chapter of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists, as well as all the regional chapters who took action in solidarity with CAT to remain calm and return to work so that NEC will have an opportunity to review all the matters arising out of the occurrence for further decision to be taken going further. NEC would like to assure all members that their matter remains legitimate and will continue to pursue it for proper and effective redress at the national level. So effective today, the strike has been called off. Well, you are here with us and then you heard the request from the committee. And as we said, as a result of the high respect we have for the committee, the strike has been called off. Oh, certainly, we will certainly advise our members. It is the members who take action. And just as it was presented here, if condition remains as it is, and we will not see much change, we have a lot of trust for the committee. And like they indicated, we do not want to place conditionality to them But we hope that this time round, unlike the previous time, this time around we'll receive a very favorable response.
Dr. Romani says the only way to ensure harmony is to create a separate working space for them in hospitals. But the Ghana Medical Association has its own demands. General Secretary Dr. Justice Yang Singh says doctors deserve the right to work in the biomedical space as well.
It takes a very serious view of this otherwise criminal activity at the workplace that are directed towards our members by the medical laboratory scientists. The Ministry of Health and the various hospital management should also ensure the straight prosecution of the perpetrators of these crimes. The GMA calls for a broader stakeholder consultation to look at the draft national laboratory policy. Mr. Chairman, basically, these are the main crux of our demands. The last bit we want to highlight on is that a certain impression was created that the attempt to get clinical hematologists at Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital is one that has been orchestrated by the Ghana Medical Association, probably in cahoots with the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. What it is that the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons has been established to train specialist medical doctors who are members of the Ghana Medical Association. The countries need specialist care. It is the position that Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital at some point wanted to be a teaching site, for which reason the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons have to do accreditation. And we as GMA, we are very happy with that because it gives our members another space within which to train beyond Korle Bu. And as part of that exercise, it came to light that as a very high-level training institution, the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons will need a certain basic minimum of expert consultants to train people who want to be specialists. For which reason, a requirement or a checklist, including the need for clinical hematologists, was given out. That is not to say that that checklist means that clinical hematologists will be trained to take over from medical laboratory scientists. We believe that we work together, but for the progress of our profession, laboratory medicine should never, never be curtailed by any other group of persons, and they should be allowed to practice. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Assin North MP Joe Jachi-Kwesing, whose legitimacy as a legislator has been challenged in the Cape Coast High Court, has written to the Chief Justice to prevail on the judge sitting on his case to recuse himself. The MP says the judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, is alleged to have made comments prejudicial to the case. NDC National Communications Officer Sami Gyamfi, who was in court on Tuesday, says there will be a real likelihood of bias should the judge be made to sit on the case. He is predetermined. Earlier, when Mr. Maliba made the allegation against the judge, he could not support his allegation with records or evidence, and his allegation was dismissed. Richard Kodjonyako was in court and has more in the following report.
On Tuesday, when the case was called, Abraham Amaliba reminded the court once he's written to the court of his withdrawal from the case, it means he is no longer a party in the matter, and that the MP, as processes of court demands, ought to be served and notified for him to get a legal representation in courts. The court thus ordered Abraham Amaliba to facilitate the service of the MP so the court processes could continue. Present in court were the NDC National Chairman Samuel Ofusu-Ampofo, the National Communication Officer Sami Gyamfi. Sami Gyamfi addressed the media saying they have petitioned the Chief Justice to prevail on the judge to recuse himself from the case because he is purported to have made comments prejudicial to the trial.
This is one important issue that the court will have to determine in this matter. But the statements the presiding judge made in court that day showed that he had already taken a position even before counsel addressed him on that important issue. And so because of the likelihood that there will be bias and that the first respondent will not have a fair hearing before this presiding judge, counsel made an oral application for the presiding judge to recuse himself, which he heard in chambers and turned down. Subsequently, the petitioner himself, the first respondent himself, has petitioned the Chief Justice of Ghana to appeal for him to intervene in the matter and ensure that the judge recuses himself, so that justice will not only be done, but justice will be seen to have been done in this matter at the end of it.
The representative of the petitioner, Richard Techimensa, says the NDC just want to muddy the waters and create situations where there aren't any. According to him, there hasn't been anywhere in the course of the trial that the judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, made the comments Mr. Malba purports he's made.
It's a clear attempt for them to delay the case, but they cannot do this in perpetuity. And we've been in court on daily basis, and you all bear as witness that there hasn't been any day in court that the judge has made the comment that they are saying that he has made. It is just a trumped up charge against the judge. We have never heard him. And they say that we were all in court. And the media people were in court. Tell us when the judge made this comment. This comment has never and ever come from the judge. That's why did Mr. James Jachikwesi did not finish with renunciation of his station before filing. This has never come from the judge.
When Mr. Malba alleged that the judge had made comments that predetermines the matter, he could not support his allegation with evidence, and the judge dismissed the allegation. The case has been adjourned to the 8th of June, where the MP, George Achikwesi, would have been served and would have found a legal representation as well.
From the Cape Coast High Court, my name is Richard Kwejunyako for Joy News.
The governing board of the Achimota school says it disagrees with a ruling by the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court ordering the school to admit 2 Rastafarian students. The 2 Rastafarian students, Tyrone Aris Magai and Oheneba Kwekun Krabia, were denied enrollment in March this year in a case that sparked a national debate about a clash between religious rights and the right to education versus a school's right to enforce its rules and regulations. The Human Rights Division of the High Court, however, ruled that the fundamental human rights of the 2 students cannot be limited by the rules in question. The 2 students were hoping to go back to the school today, but it does not appear that Achimota School is ready to accept them yet, as it says it will be appealing the ruling. Here's a statement from the school's board. So it reads, the governing board of Achimota School was represented in court yesterday, May 31, 2021, and has learned of the outcome of the case brought against it by 2 persons who had earlier applied to be admitted to the school. The court ruled that the religious rights of the 2 applicants had been violated by the school management as they sought to enforce the time-tested and well-known rules of the school. The court further directed the school to admit the 2 applicants. The school board disagrees with the ruling of the court. The school board has therefore directed its lawyers to appeal against the ruling. It's signed by chairman of the board, Achimota School. Now, Terry Magai, father of one of the students, joins me via Zoom with a quick reaction. Thank you very much, Mr. Magai. Now, what do you make of the posturing of the school's governing board towards the court ruling?
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of frustration or what they should be, because I think the judge is competent enough to have ordered the school to take the boys, just like the GES also ordered the school to admit the boys, to have the boys in the school to start their education. So I just don't get it, But before I make any much comment, I would like to first talk with my lawyers. We would like to talk with our lawyers and then see what advice they will give us.
All right. Now, was there any attempt on your part to send your boy to school at all today?
No, we did not, because there was this letter that we had to have from the judge that was supposed to be prepared and have it signed by the judge, and then we could take it to the school, because we did not want to just go there, like in a hustle way that, okay, we won, and now the kids have to be there. We wanted to do anything, everything properly, So that is why we did not take the kids there today. And we're waiting that at least we would get it maybe tomorrow, because the talk was that we will get it today. But as I spoke with my lawyer, he hasn't gotten it yet. So we're hoping that maybe tomorrow or the next day, maybe by Thursday, we will get it, and then we will go officially to the school, so that we don't go and trespass, you know.
Now, considering all the drama that's taking place, would you still want to send your ward to the school?
Yeah, that's what we want to do, you know, because the kids want to go to Achimota. So we decided, all right, then we will do that, you know. But when they go there to try, and I don't know what it will be, then their own decision. Because you could also change schools if wanted. But that is not the talk now. Now they want to be in Achimota.
I'm bringing this up because considering all the antagonism that's been going on, pitting you against the school, I'm not sure how comfortable or how convenient an environment it is going to be for your boy to be in the same school you have been, you know, quote unquote, fighting.
Well, we have prepared ourselves psychologically, and we know such things could also happen, you know, because how could you leave your child to your enemy to take care of them? But the whole thing is, it's about rights, and the whole world is watching. It's all eyes on Achimota, you know what I mean? So I think it's just that they have to do what is right, you know, because if you check what the kids can do, I mean, the ability, how smart these kids are, then they don't have to be denied. Because I'm not saying they are better than other kids, you know. But when we went to the school, we saw even kids with aggregate 20, 30, or whatever it was. And the moral of the whole story is Achimota is a good school that really produce quality students, you know. So if they can even take such kids, you know, that have this 30, 20 plus aggregate, and kids that have 6, they refuse, then I think it's something that they take in personal. You know, the world is changing, and we should also learn to tolerate each other, because in all civilized nations, they have learned to tolerate people with, I would say, years back, it wasn't tolerated, because I remember, I don't know exactly what it was about in the USA. Some people were fighting for a right. You know, I've forgotten a little bit. But there's this something that one of the big guys said, that if we allow them now to have their way, then it means what is going to happen next is the women are going to come that we should allow them to vote. You see me? And if you still to the women vote.
Yeah. So,
but in those days, it was something that people were against, and the tough guys were against. But today, if you would come with such things like women should not vote, I think everybody's going to tell you that you're coming from maybe some 100 years back or 1,000 years back.
All right.
You know, this is something they should just let us, you know, move forward and see what the kids can do. At least they should try them, you know.
All right.
But yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Magai. And you've been listening to Terrio Magai. He is a parent of one of the Rastafarian students who has been denied enrollment at Achimota School. Member of Parliament for Amenfi West, Eric Affol, is accusing national security operatives of confiscating more than 3 million cedis and an unknown quantity of gold in what he describes as an illegal operation in his constituency last month. The operatives, who he says were led by former SWAT commander DSP Azugu, stormed a casino, filling station and other facilities at Asenkrigwa in an operation said to be linked to illegal mining, and allegedly assaulted staff of the casino, immigration service personnel and 2 journalists. CCTV footage obtained by the Fourth Estate and the Media Foundation for West Africa showed the said operatives on a rampage.
A Toyota V8 arrives at a compound. 2 men descend from the driver and front passenger side. Another from the right passenger side, alight, wielding an AK-47. He is wearing a hooded sweater with a face mask, making it impossible for him to be identified. He opens the car boot, and a man in what looks like a police uniform appears from the left side of the car. Another person in mask jumps from the boot. The one wielding the AK-47 points the gun towards the ground and holds it firmly. He takes a few steps away from the car and turns to face the main building. In another footage, a man in white shirt walks along a path within an enclosed space. He is followed closely by the uniformed bow-legged man who eyewitnesses say is DSP Samuel Kojo Azugu, commander of the SWAT unit at the National Security Secretariat. An item in his possession drops to the floor and he pauses to pick it up and continues to walk. Outside the building, the AK-47 wielding man with his hand firmly on the trigger takes cautious steps to stand in front of the car. At this stage, there is commentary on the unfolding situation by unidentified persons.
This is what I was talking about. William Mufti with Max. It's very, very serious.
Another footage shows a smock-wearing man enter an open workspace. He is carrying an AK-47 in his right hand and uses his left to point to the ground as if handing out instructions. He is followed closely by the masked, hooded, sweater-wearing man. A third person carrying a pistol in his right hand enters at this stage. He moves to the back of a table. It is alleged he went to turn off the CCTV power source, an allegation repeated by the Member of Parliament for the area, Eric Afo.
Some of the shops were having CCTV cameras. They were disconnected before they started off. You see, there's no search warrant from them. So who sent them?
The men are alleged to have seized money and other items aside from damaging a safe.
Attacked a lot of shops, intimidated a lot of residents in the community and took away about 3 million Ghana cedis and quantity of.
Petition the IGP and the Interior Minister demanding sanctions against those involved. He dismisses claims the operation was to deal with illegal mining. He says the removal of DSP Azugu is not enough.
You see, officially, I've not gotten that notice. But if they have done it, I think it's a good step that they've done. And if they have done that, then they have done that according to my petition that I made. Because even from what happened at Ayawaso, Wegon, infamous, what they call it, by-election thing, I don't think nothing has been done about it. So if with this petition, they have moved him, I think there's something going on.
Is there something more you want to see beyond DSP Azugu being removed from the national security that you haven't seen yet in terms of a proper response to the consensus? You
see, actually, I think the ministry and the IGP's office, they've not treated this case kindly. I expect them to have responded to my letter, officially written to me, about the action they want to take. Unofficially, let me put it this way, that they have gone to the constituency to research about what I've petitioned them. They've gone there to the scenes to unofficially investigate about whatever went on. But it's not official. They have not told me, so I won't capitalize on that.
Just to get a sense, what happened at the casino in your constituency that prompted you to then send this petition?
You see, it's not only the casino. The whole thing is beyond the casino's, incidents. You see, they attacked the residents within the community as Nkrugwa, attacked shops. Information reaching me is that even a filling station over there was also attacked. So it's not a matter of...
Did they take anything from there? Like it was claimed allegedly they took money from the casino.
That is what I'm coming to say. Per the information I've gathered, they took away about 3 million Ghana cedis.
From the casino or elsewhere?
No, I think the entire operation that they did, with amount of gold, which I cannot quantify now. You understand my point? So it's not only the casino, it's about the casino and its environment. You see, what is more serious is that the divisional command and the district command of Ghana Police Service, they came to the scene and they were sacked by the team to extend that 2 of the immigration officers were handcuffed. The MC who is in charge of the security within the municipality was not informed, came there, was not allowed to make any intervention, including yourself, the media. They came there, they were attacked. As we are talking now, one of them is at the hospital. So I think they have to come out well.
Well, I'll take a break here on Joy News Prime, but still ahead in the bulletin. Gunmen attack shop offering financial services in Ashanti region capital Kumasi Tuesday afternoon and make away with over 140,000 cedis.
I want to short say Mickey Atenta into the heads and a call no washroom honor. So I wouldn't know if some come home and I wouldn't know where I would have been.
And then in business, Bank of Ghana makes significant progress with issuance of digital currency. We'll hear from the governor.
Have a pilot phase where a few people would be able to use it and use this electronic CD.
Also, later in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo says government is aiming to make Ghana the #1 country in Africa on the press freedom ranking, arguing government needs an unfettered media.
It cannot be right, no matter where in the world the journalists are physically attacked or prevented from doing their work.
Some Ghanaian journalists who were at the conference where the president spoke are, however, unconvinced they enjoy the needed freedom to go about their work.
I'm extremely careful and mindful of my surroundings, my movements, and all that.
My concern is the attacks on reporters. We shouldn't be seeing them in this day and era.
Stay tuned in. Business News comes up after the break.
You're welcome to Business. The Bank of Ghana says it has made significant progress on the issuance of a digital currency in the country. Now, according to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, it has completed the design of the electronic cedi for an initial market use.
Looking at the concept of an e-cedi. So yes, we are quite advanced in that process. As you know, I mean, these types of things, you have to go at it in phases. The first phase was really on the design of the electronic money, and I think that the team that is working on that has gone quite far in the design phase, and they are looking at the implementation phase. And after the implementation phase, we would have a pilot phase where a few people would be able to use it and use this electronic CD on the mobile applications and other payment applications that are currently running. And then from that pilot, we would be able to determine whether this is feasible and what sort of things need to be tweaked in order to make it work effectively. So, yes, we have made progress. I think we'll be putting out some more information on that very soon. The cryptocurrency, I think we all are aware of what has been going on. And we have said that this is not regulated activity in the Bank of Ghana, so we warn the public about engaging in the cryptocurrency trade.
As part of measures to increase access to insurance in the country, SG Bank and Alliance Life have signed a deal to sell 2 critical insurance products to customers on the bank. Now, the deal was signed in Accra after approval from the Bank of Ghana and the National Insurance Commission for 2 products. That's the Sound Ediflex plan and the Sound Phono plan. Here's more.
The bank insurance industry has seen some marginal growth in recent years as a result of the move by both the Bank of Ghana and the National Insurance Commission to grant approval for banks and insurance firms to provide the service. The partnership between Alliance Life and SG Ghana to sell 2 products is expected to improve the current development by capturing more customers of the bank. Head of Reinsurance and Money Laundering at the National Insurance Commission disclosed that more than 30 insurance companies are collaborating with banks in this regard.
In 2007, when the first partnership was approved, I'm happy to say that currently more than 30 insurance companies, both life and non-life, are collaborating with several banks. 14 years down the line. Premium contribution from these partnerships has been encouraging and keeps improving. Out of a total premium of about 39 billion cedis in 2020, bank assurance contributed 17%. This was made up of 2% for non-life and 15% for life.
Chief Executive of Allianz, Gideon Atarari, explains the importance of the two partnerships.
Partnership where together these two big brands will be able to create a one-stop shop for the SG customers. So customers have a lot of needs. They have savings needs, they have investment needs, they also have insurance needs. So what this brings is it puts everything in one basket. So the customer doesn't need to go to that place when he needs life insurance, goes to this place when he needs investment. Everything is in one basket. So that's about and on this platform, we've launched two products today, and one is about funeral, and we know how important it is for when our people depart, how important it is for us to give them a befitting burial, a befitting farewell. So we've launched a product like that. Then we've also launched a product around education. But these are just the two of the products that we have today.
General Manager for Retail at SG Ghana, Obed Hoya, believes this is an added value to customers.
These are two giants in their own fields. Allianz has over 130 years of experience behind them in this business. SG Ghana or SG Group also has over 150 years of being in this banking business. You put the two together and you bring a lot of experience to bear. So the two have come together to really bring convenience and value in creating these two very useful, unique products to sell to our customers and prospective customers.
Out of the total premium of about 39 billion cedis paid in 2020, bank assurance contributed 17% according to the Insurance Commission data. Ebenezer Sabute's report for Joy Business.
And that's how we end business for this segment. All right, it's time for Showbiz, and Becky Bex is here with a story that's been trending all day. It has to do with Shatawale. Apparently, you have all the filler on it.
So the big news is that he has apologized.
Okay.
Why is he even apologizing? Easy. Because he came out to say that he's giving $4 million for a contractor to...
Really?
Oh, yeah, he said he's... Well...
Okay, so you tell us the story. What is the story?
So there's a video on that has gone viral of him and his boys assaulting some...
or in a confrontation with some workers.
Yeah, we're not too sure.
Road construction firm.
So Kenneth, he's called the guy who was allegedly assaulted, reported the case to the police. And so that was the whole thing. But apparently there was a video of some of his guys saying that Shatta actually paid for the road to be done. And so
the bit of the story that I know, maybe let me bring that in, is that a road is being constructed. And then, well, there was already a road, and there was an overlay, bitumen overlay.
Yeah.
And then Shatta shows up on the scene, and he's ranting about something, I don't know what.
So he's ranting that, okay, can you stop what you're doing and fix my own, stretch of the road, because that stretch leads to my office, and I actually paid you to do that.
Oh, really?
And you're acting up. So, like, the boss that he is, that's, Do
you have that video of him saying?
No, we don't have, but the video. So he actually spoke on Hit FM earlier this morning, narrating,
trying to clarify the issue.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Shatta, hold on. Shatta, what was the agreement you had with the contractor? Did you pay him any money to fix the road?
Andy, when I was talking, I presented my case. Did I paid anybody? What I'm saying, don't you get Andy? Sometimes you're already saying yes, you was cacao.
No. Oh, don't please don't use those words. Don't. These are unprintable words. Don't say that, because you must be clear. When you were speaking, you were so much angry, going on and on and on. Please,
Andy. When I'm talking, listen to me. You see,
what makes you think I'm not listening to you?
You see, so that's why I'm saying that when I was making my presentation, I didn't make a presentation saying I paid somebody. So don't bring this into this.
That's why I am asking. If you had mentioned it, I wouldn't have asked again. But I am asking you, since you didn't mention it, that's why I'm asking. I didn't say, did you say? I'm asking you.
No.
Hello?
Yeah, no. I said no. I'm telling you, I said no.
Okay, right.
All right, so that was Shatta earlier this morning. So right after that conversation, I happened to meet up with the CEO of the construction company, and he was saying that, well, that he got the information that his guys have been assaulted, and he went to the scene. He actually went to Shatta Wale and demanded for an apology, which he did. But the fact that he, went on radio, and a lot of people might think that he actually did pay him some sort of money or some amount of money he needed, or he was demanding for an apology from Shatta Wale for the assault, and to clarify whether or not he's giving him money. Right. So the reason why Shatta Wale had to come out this evening, because there was an arrest warrant. He was supposed to sleep in the cells this evening, but, well, he did the apology. Reason why, he's not in the cells this evening. So the contractor is dropping charges? Yeah. He's not pursuing the case? Because of this apology.
Hi, my name is Shatta Wale, as you all know, and I believe there's some news circulating around me and having fights with some contractors, and like I'm saying, the man in question is my dad, is my friend, it's somebody that I always wanted to meet, but it's so unfortunate, things have to happen this week. But I also want to say sorry to Kennedy, for everything that happened. I believe he also find a place in his heart to forgive me, because it's Ghana and we are one people, and that's how we need to live. And anything that has happened, I believe God takes care of the rest of it. So all the bloggers too that are saying I'm giving some contractor 4 million Ghana cedi, I believe you guys should really stop circulating false news, and I'm not giving nobody 4 million Ghana cedi or $4 million. I just want us to live in peace and live in harmony. And I thank everybody, and anybody that I've hurt, I just want to say I'm sorry, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Izzy, what do you think?
Well, typically, if it's a criminal case, you don't just... The police are supposed to actually move on it. I don't know what the police's position is going to be on it.
Yeah, I'm also not too sure, but the chairman of Oswald Investments, he is the Humphrey Williams. So he says he's a peaceful man, and he doesn't want
to drag the issue.
Because for the past 2 days, work has stopped. They haven't been able to work because the guys
of that confrontation,
going back and forth to the police station and all that. So all he needs is the apology, so that it clarifies everything. He hasn't received any 4 million Ghana cedis from Shatta Wale, and he also has apologized to the project manager for assaulting him. So that's just, basically, we're not too sure if he will be,
the police may want to pursue the case any further.
So all right. We're not too sure. Let's move away from Shatta Wale. Let's talk about why music. Have you ever thought about why some musicians had to, always mention their names in the songs? Like, Yagayo, Samini music,
Well, I thought they're using that to promote the record label or the producer.
Well,
I know sometimes they do that.
Well, Kofi Kinata and Medical, they have, the various views.
I mean, if you are going to look for a job, you go with an application with your name on it. without your name, people are going to be lost. That's why El Chairman has to be mentioned. But most of the times, Edini Muni Mumbo, they mention it for me. So my people know what we are doing.
People love that part. If I don't do, they will call and complain. Like, Abedimpo, move. Abedimpo, Komiko, Fikina, they love it. So it's kind of, it psych them towards what I'm about to do. So I mention my name and I'm psyching them. Yo, Fikina, just come and get ready.
But have they started complaining about this one? Because you didn't mention your name in the last one.
The digress, it doesn't have money. I think the content is like they are not done with the content. They are still soaking it. They are still finding new things in the song. So they haven't realized that yet.
So I guess when they realize that, well, now that he said it, they'll probably start complaining.
That's for Digress, the new song. He hasn't mentioned his name in the new song. I think that's the reason why.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Becky Bex, for bringing us Showbiz, and we're bringing you international news right after this. All right, but that'll be it for those of you who are watching on Joy Prime, but there's more news on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in. The school to appeal court order to admit 2 Rastafarian students. And then motorbike and pylon rider feared dead in road accident at Achimota. This was a story we carried it yesterday on Joy News Prime. Alleged military brutality in Damongo leaves one in critical condition, 17 other civilian soldier injured. So yes, that's it now for those who are watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Stay tuned in. A shop offering financial services in the Ashanti regional capital was attacked Tuesday afternoon by gunmen who made away with over 140,000 cedis. One person sustained injuries from shots fired by the gunmen at the Bokrom Estate Junction shop. Nanya Ojima has more in the following report.
Uncomfortable.
According to one of the ladies held hostage, the robbers shot into the roof 3 times as they requested for the cash. Charity Kambasiba explains one of the 2 stood in front of the shop and the other came in attacking one of the clients. The armed robber later held them hostage in one corner of the shop demanding money. Charity narrates the incident amidst tears.
After they attacked the client, we realized they are armed robbers. He ordered we stay down while we ran towards the cashier's booth. But he stopped us and ordered us to stay on the ground. We didn't see anything again.
One of the staff who spotted danger earlier was able to make her way to the washroom, placing a phone call to a neighbor, Collins Dapa, for help. Gertrude Aqua explains one of the 2 had her, but was unable to find her hideout.
I had sent a call no washroom, so I wouldn't know if some come home, I wouldn't know where I would have been. They went to all of a sudden,
they came in claiming they wanted to withdraw cash. Later, he brought a gun from his trousers. Then he ordered us to get inside and stay quiet.
It's me advantage washroom and fire phone. And I'm in the car and I'm a freak customer.
As he struggled with a client, I got into the washroom on their blind side. I placed a call to a client to call the police to the scene. I didn't witness anything else from there.
Collins, who attempted to enter the shop to help the staff, was shot at the entrance of the shop.
According to eyewitnesses, the operation was very brief. After the whole operation, the people fled on a motorbike amid gunshots to ward off all people who attempted to chase them. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Now, some breaking news coming through. A number of Galamseyers are feared dead after their mine pit collapsed on them last night at Bane in the Talensi district of the Upper East region. The miners are said to have been mining in the night when the pit caved in. A rescue team is currently draining water in the pit to ascertain the number of bodies trapped, although it is unclear if there are any bodies. The Bane enclave is notorious for illegal mining, with a number of mine collapse, which has led to the number of miners being killed in the past. Talensi DCE, Dr. Christopher Bodbill, joins us on the line to brief us more on this. Thank you very much, Dr. Bodbill. Now, what has the initial investigation revealed as far as the cause of this mine collapse is concerned?
Please come again. I haven't heard your question well.
What can you report about this mine collapse? What was the cause?
Good evening to your cherished listeners. First of all, let me correct the misrepresentation that there's a mine collapse.
Okay.
There is no mine collapse. What happened was that yesterday around 10 p.m. we had torrential rain in the Upper East.
All right.
And it affected the Bane area. Now we have an area that is being occupied by a small-scale miner. And then they have a series of pits, in a vertical line, but it goes towards a place where whenever it rains, water passes through. Unfortunately, the last two ends, some pits were left, they were abandoned. And the water that came was so much that it entered into that pit. And what I was told was that all the pits along that line, they are all connected for ventilation purposes. So once the water entered the abandoned pit, it penetrated into the other pits. And that was what happened. There hasn't been a collapse of the mine.
All right. And has there been any success with trying to rescue people who may have been trapped in there?
Yes. The explanation I got when I visited the site was that usually when rain is about to come, there's an alert where everybody gets out the place. So majority of the people who were supposed to be underground came up, but they are suspecting that a few of them were inside. And like I said earlier, the rainfall was torrential, so much water entered into the pit. And when I got there, we had several machines pumping the water out. But I realized that if they were talking about the incident happened around 10:30 to 11, it meant that the quantity of water inside was so much. So we contacted the Shanzi Mining Company that came with their machines and helped in pumping out the water. As at, let's say, about 30 minutes ago, my contacts indicated that the water is virtually pumped out, and they are trying to ascertain how many bodies, if there are any, in the pit. So I don't want to preempt by indicating that there are bodies there. We pray that there's nobody there. But if there were anybody there, perhaps the person shouldn't be alive.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Christopher Bodbill, Talensi DC, for bringing so much clarity to this story. Now, the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Ose Educhum, has hinted of a review of schools' ranking system based on academic performance and infrastructure available to schools. Less endowed schools have often been graded alongside A-list schools, but the process has been described as unfair, hence a review of the criteria. There's more in the following report.
According to the Education Minister, there will be two types of schools rankings. Schools with similar qualities will be ranked separately. 10 schools will be ranked nationally.
Some people will tell you, why are you comparing me to Achimota? I don't have the same facilities as they do. So there are going to be two types of rankings that are going to come up. One is the national ranking, and school will be ranked from level 10 to 1. 10 is the highest that any school can get. So if your school is ranked 10 nationally, it means that you are part of the top performing schools in the country. Then we move on to the similar schools ranking, and that is more important to me. We are going to look at schools that receive the same quality of students in terms of academic performance. So we're going to see, okay, schools that had majority of their students coming with aggregate 20 to, let's say, 30.
Dr. Yao Osei Educhum presented citations to 12 top performing schools in the Ashanti region. This move is to encourage other schools to give off their best academically. Tepa Senior High School emerged the top performing school in the Ashanti region.
A group of schools that have truly distinguished themselves. Being the top 10% of Ashanti schools is no mean accomplishment. So every one of you here, you have done a fantastic job, and clap for yourselves.
The Education Minister also visited some senior high schools in the region to interact with students.
22, good. You are so smart. That's class 1. Then you come to junior high school, and instead of a box, we'll say X. X is representing the...
During his visit, the minister commissioned a male dormitory at the Sakafia Islamic Senior High School. He promised to build a science laboratory and an assembly hall for the school.
So that we can pave here. That we can pave here from that end to that end with pavement blocks, so that when it rains, there will be no dirt here. And when it's dry, there will be no dust here. The next time we're doing construction, my favorite thing is for you to get a science lab. Because I want this school to train the next generation of engineers and medical doctors.
Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
Now, there are currently 5,403 schools under trees, as well as schools in deplorable conditions. That's according to the Valco Trust Fund, which says it has done mapping of such schools in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service. The fund says it is starting a project aimed at removing schools under trees, starting with 19 kindergartens with an initial amount of 6.8 million cedis. Kwekwa Sante reports.
Many Ghanaians express shock at how the country, after 60 years of independence, still has schools under trees dotted across the country, and in places where there are buildings, there is no furniture. Although its mother body, VACO, has been struggling over the years, VACO Trust Fund says it is committed to dealing with the more than 5,000 schools it has now identified through its mapping with the Ghana Education Service.
There are a total of 2,417 schools that are under trees and 2,986 schools that are in a very deplorable condition nationwide.
The fund announced it is committing 3.5 billion cedis to the project. Executive Director of the fund, Kelvin Yabua, explains how they intend to remove schools under trees by 2025 in association with other partners and persons by raising funds.
I am happy to inform you that VACO Trust Fund has taken the initiative of ensuring that there will be no schools under trees and or deplorable structures in the country in the next 5 years. And that we have to construct every single basic school under tree, and those that are in a very deplorable condition in all parts of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, our plan is that within the next 5 years, no single child should sit under a tree or in a very deplorable structure to access education.
For now, the project begins with 6.8 million cedis meant to build 18 different basic schools across the country.
Even though we at VACO Trust Fund do not have all the money, we are starting this project with an amount of 6,800,000 to build 18 schools as part of the 500 schools for the year. We therefore need an extra amount of 155,697,250 Ghana cedis to be able to build the remaining 482 kindergarten schools for the year. Ladies and gentlemen, on Friday, the 4th of June 2021, we are cutting sod for the construction of the following 15 KG schools, 2 junior high schools, and 1 primary school to be built across the country. This sod cutting event will take place at the Kamboyisa DKG school in the Karaga district of the Northern region.
VACO Trust Fund will be soliciting funds to execute the project. For his part, Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Opoku Amankwa, expressed readiness by his outfit to partner Vaco Trust Fund to make removing schools under trees in Ghana a reality.
On our own, on an annual basis, and as and when our resources are able to support us, we have always dealt with issues of schools under trees, issues of schools in very bad conditions, not only at the basic level, but equally at the senior high school level as well.
The government has set itself the ambitious objective to improve Ghana's ranking on the Global Press Freedom Index. According to President Akufo-Addo, Ghana should be first on the continent from its current third position. Addressing the Africa Journalist Leadership Conference underway in Accra, President Akufo-Addo said, though vilified by a section of the country's media, he is unapologetic about the repeal of the criminal libel law, adding that a vibrant and unfettered media is the most effective way to hold government and society to the highest standards of honesty, self-discipline and delivery. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe was there in our reports.
So for the next 2 days, senior journalists from across Africa are here in Accra to deliberate on key issues affecting the work of journalists on the continent. Key among them is the safety of journalists, the creeping culture of silence in most African states, and also remuneration or salary for workers who work as journalists, which according to some of them is nothing to write home about. Now, a few minutes ago, the opening ceremony took off, where President Akufo-Addo himself, a media manager before he became president, spoke about what his government has done so far in ensuring the safety of journalists in the country. He says he's unapologetic about the repeal of the criminal libel law and the passage of the right to information law. But he was also quick to add that journalists must allow themselves to be criticized because of the work they do. And for that reason, criticizing the work of journalists cannot be said to be an attack on the media, something that he is not happy with. But he condemned recent news in the media where journalists in the line of duty have been attacked. He says such acts must be condemned at all costs.
That frown on or even criminalize free speech. On a day like this, it is also important to consider some of the emerging challenges to media freedom. One of them is what constitutes an attack on media freedom. It cannot be right, no matter where in the world the journalists are physically attacked or prevented from doing their work. Once that happens, it is an attack on media freedom, and it must be roundly condemned by all. As George Orwell rightly puts it, and I quote, "Freedom of the press, if it means anything at all, means the freedom to criticize and oppose," unquote. However, there seems to be an emerging narrative which is being proffered by some in Ghana that critiquing the work of a journalist constitutes an attack on media freedom. That certainly cannot be described as an attack on media freedom. Having the freedom to criticize and oppose should also mean that the media is ready to accept and work with criticisms of its work by the citizenry or officialdom. That, for me, is one of the surest ways of improving the public discourse of our respective countries, and we should all strive towards realizing this. This conference should also seek to address the phenomena of misinformation campaigns and fake news, which sometimes, unfortunately, are propagated by some in the media. The tendency to report on only one side of a story and pass judgment on it, without wanting to learn or give a fair amount of reportage to the other side, stifles the truth. The media should only be concerned about reporting the facts and should not lend themselves to being bought or being used to destroy the reputation of others. The media has immeasurable power to build up the confidence and values of our societies and their institutions, and therefore ought to be assisted in discharging their duties at all times. I appeal to media practitioners on the continent to take a second look and the immense power they wield and the responsibility they owe their societies and their peoples, and ensure that they do not sacrifice integrity and the future of our societies on the altar of an instant scoop or ill-considered publication. The Rwanda genocide in 1994 presents probably the best example of the calamity that can befall a country when the media is oblivious or chooses to ignore this particular sacred role.
The president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afel Moni, spoke about remuneration in the media space, and according to him, it is nothing to write home about. According to him, some journalists are poorly paid, some are not paid at all, and for this is allowing so many unprofessionalism in the space. Some
journalists at the conference Joy News spoke with, however, do not share the president's optimism. Wilberforce Asare of Asase Radio and Yache of Ghanaian Times, both presidential correspondents, tell Joy News' Elton Brobe the fear of journalists being attacked in the course of their work is real. They are also unconvinced by government efforts to bring to justice perpetrators of crimes against journalists.
The issue about press freedom and perceived attack on the work of journalists appears to be one of the most topical issues in the country. Now, a while ago, President Akufo-Addo spoke about it and spoke about the fact that he is unapologetic about the repeal of the criminal libel law. But he also said that the work of journalists must stand for criticism, and that will not in any way amount to, censorship or an attack on the media. Let me speak to some media practitioners here about what they make of this and whether or not journalistic practice in the country is under attack. Wilberforce Asare is head of the political desk at Asase Radio. I'll also be speaking to my colleague here from the New Times Corporation about what they make of this particular issue. Wilberforce, you are a journalist. Is media practice in the country under attack?
So, Elton, by the very nature of our work as journalists, where our work sees us talking about what other people are doing, by extension, if you say something good about someone, that person is likely to like you. And when you say something bad about the other person, that person is likely to be against you. So by the very nature of our work as journalists, we attract both negative and positive energy. And so I think that attracting the two forms of energy comes with the work. However, it becomes a problem when it leads to journalists being physically attacked by people who may not be happy about something that they said about them. We have seen quite a few of them around in our country where journalists have been physically attacked because of things that they said, which we condemn. But if journalists are being put on the spot for something that they may have said about somebody by virtue of attracting negative energy, I don't see anything wrong with it, because we must come to terms with the fact that that's the nature of our work. You will say something bad about someone, that person reserves a right to rebut. That person has a right to say that I disagree with what you said. That doesn't mean that the journalist is under attack. So that's the difference that I see. Our work definitely attracts positive and negative energy. When it's positive, you'll be praised. And we have seen journalists being praised and they are happy in the country. So when it is negative, you'll be attacked. But when you are attacked, it doesn't mean that you are under attack properly, so-called. It is when it translates into physical abuse, killing, like some journalists have been shot and all that, then it becomes a problem. So that's my thoughts on this issue about journalists under attack.
Let me go to my colleague here from the New Times Corporation, Yao Che. Yeah, there are those who are of the view that journalists take on everybody and they take on anything in the country. But when the work of a journalist is subjected to some kind of criticism, then the cliche that the work of journalists is being attacked comes to play. Is that what you also feel?
Well, I think I agree with what Wilberforce said, with the fact that we are free to disagree with each other. When a journalist says something and someone rebuts what the person has said, I don't think that necessarily constitutes an attack, because we live in a society where we are free to express ourselves, we are free to agree or disagree, but it becomes a problem when it turns physical. You understand? And we've recorded a number of such physical attacks on. I know so many reporters who have been attacked. And the sad thing is, a lot of such attacks go unpunished. And that is, for me, that is my major concern. But we are free to disagree with each other. That is an acceptable practice in every established democracy.
My final question will be, and this goes for the two of you, as a journalist and as a practicing one, do you feel worried, or do you have a sense of fear once you go about your normal duties on a daily basis?
Personally, I wouldn't say fear, because I'm not scared, because we live in a democratic society. But my concern is the attacks on reporters. We shouldn't be seeing them in this day and era, because they are getting too many. Over the past 10 years, reporters have been killed. Reporters are attacked by political supporters of political parties, security agencies, private individuals at the courts and all that. We hear them, and I think it's disturbing. And I think the people who perpetrate these attacks must be punished. There should be stiff punishment on the people who perpetrate these attacks. You understand? In order, at least, to protect journalists.
And then, Wilberforce, finally, whilst doing your work, does fear come in terms of this story I'm covering? There may be repercussions when you step out of your house and go to work. Because of the fact that you're a journalist, do you live in fear because of the kind of job you do?
So I think that I would not use the word fear, but I think I'm very careful and mindful. And the reason why I'm that careful and mindful is because I have come to terms with the fact that the work I do would attract attention. And so to the extent that my work attracts attention means that every time I'm moving around, I must be careful about what is happening behind me and beside me. I find myself driving a car that is branded from my office. And that also means that naturally everywhere I'm going, I am already identified as a journalist or as working in the media house. And so that actually even makes me a bit more careful about where I go, the kind of person following me at all material times, who is beside me and all that. I'm very mindful and careful about those things. But I don't think that I am afraid of practicing my work, because I strive to remain professional at all material times when I'm doing my work. And so I don't have an iota of fear, but I am extremely, extremely careful and mindful of my surroundings, my movements and all that. And
now, contestants and students of the Empire Senior High School say they will sing Osibise's 1971 classic song Wayaya at every contest during the 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz scheduled for October. They say they draw inspiration from the song, which continues to lead them to victory. They beat Presec, Abetifi and 4 others to qualify on day 2 of the Eastern Regional NSMQ qualification contests.
The road to the October National Science and Maths Quiz is muddy and rough. They've survived the first hurdle on that journey, and indeed they have every reason to celebrate it. And that is how they're celebrating it in Praeso Senior High School. What's the inspiration behind you guys singing the song?
The song gingers us whenever we sing it, and so it's a nice experience having it here.
So are we going to see you guys singing the song anytime you win a contest?
Sure. You're going to see us, and as our name suggests, Sumum Bonum. We are always aiming at the highest good, and we'll be able to make it by God's grace. Amen.
We are doing this to honor the past students for sponsoring us, for supporting us in everything. All that we needed, they provided unto us. We are singing this song to celebrate them and sing their praise as well, and also to motivate us to continue.
What did they do for the team?
Oh, they gave us laptops. They gave us a learning room where they stuff it with all that we requested for. Wow. They gave us monetary support, everything we request for, air conditions, printers, internet connectivity, yes, and also smart televisions that will help us to prepare for the program. In fact, they have been very supportive. We are very grateful to them.
Okay, so the coordinator will have the last word.
in past for the past 7 years has been absent at the national level.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and actually
15 years.
No,
15.
That's my Bangalore number. All right. So actually this year we put in every effort to make it, and luckily our contest was contest number 7, and it's been 7 years since we went to the national competition. And today being 1st June, that's 1/6. 1 plus 6 gives us 7. That means that this perfection, and that means we had to qualify today. That's why we qualified.
Also on day 2 was McGee's. As 2019 winners of the World Robotics Competition held in the United States of America, they were convinced no school will be a hurdle to their dream of qualifying for the main NSMQ in October. But Suhum Presek dashed their hopes by beating them with 2 points in the final round. Here are the girls from McGee's confident of victory ahead of the contest and how they lost the opportunity to be at the national competition.
Methodist Girls High School just arrived here at the Nut Hall. They are taking part in the first contest, and already the girls are excited. They are noted to be the best when it comes to the RoboFest and all of that. So many are expecting them to put up a very spectacular performance here.
Okay, so we are actually not anxious because we have done it before internationally, and we are here to take this one too. Of course, I hope you've heard of robotics, and this is just science and math quiz. Oh, please expect the best. Wait. Maggie's girls, Maggie's girls, Maggie's girls, pride of the East, pride of the East, pride of the East. Stand remain focused, the Maggie's girls, pride of the East.
That was before the contest, but in the last round, during round 4, Suhum Presek answered a question correctly on the first clue, and that earned them 5 points. That put McGee's out of the competition, and the girls were very sad that they couldn't qualify for the national competition in October.
So I start with the first riddle. I am a state of matter. Yes.
Plasma state.
That is incorrect. Suhum Presby.
Solid.
That is correct. So I was on the first clue, they get 5 points.
Hello there, it's time for business. The Private Enterprise Federation says it anticipates immediate impact on the reduction in policy rate on lending to business. The Bank of Ghana slashed its policy rate by 100 basis points from 14.5% to 13.5%. But speaking to Joy Business early on the marketplace, the president of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nanao Sebonso, says more can be done in easing the cost of credit.
It's in the right direction. Because, you see, the policy rate is supposed to dictate the lending rate by the various lending institutions. But the policy rate in itself has some skewed elements in it. That should not be there. Something like cash in bulk. Because apart from the policy rate is formulated, there's a formula that dictates the policy rate. And that formula has cash in bulk, glorifying a bank take somebody's deposit, they don't know what to do, put it in the vault, and you glorify them a percentage profit margins on that. That is a no-no. That should not happen, be in there. And then the capital adequacy. These are things that the Bank of Ghana should make sure that they're not in the formula. Because if we look at the policy rate, which should have a correlating effect on the banking rate or lending rate, it's not doing that. So you have a margin of almost about 400 to 500 basis points from the lending rate to the policy rate, or from the policy rate to the lending rate. So we think that, yes, it's in the right direction, but the real culprit that we have to work with is how to find the balance on the policy rate, influence on the lending rate of the banking institutions or the lending institutions.
Hopefully, we are expecting that we would see banks readjust to reflect the decrease in the policy rate. But I just want to know, how upbeat is the business community about this? What is your expectation? What is the anticipation as we expect this to stimulate the economy, enable businesses get some monies to run their operations and stimulate the economy? Are you as excited as the others are about what this would mean?
We're not jumping up and down in excitement, but it's in the right direction. Okay. And as I said, that adds up to decision-making process, which is very critical. So the policy rate is in the right direction, it's being reduced, and we want to see a further reduction where you see the policy rate would influence the lending rate directly. There's a direct correlation between that. So businesses can now plan and say, okay, a policy rate is reduced to maybe 10%. We know the margin between that and the lending rate is going to be this much. So now, do we go to borrow now, or we wait till it reflects in the lending rate? So that is where we want to see some immediate action.
Meanwhile, the chief executive of SG Bank Ghana, Hakeem Uzani, says has welcomed the decision by the Bank of Ghana, the Monetary Policy Committee at that, to reduce the policy rate. He tells Soy Business that the bank has already taken steps to comply with the new policy directive.
Basically, if you have certainly observed that the trend of the rates in Ghana is progressively going down, okay? It means that just in few years, we can say that there are hundreds of basic points lost in the interest rate, which is good for Ghanaian people, for Ghanaian companies, because they are able now to borrow money cheaper than a few years ago. But it's not the end of the road, because the government and Bank of Ghana strategy is to continue till we will reach the one-digit interest rate. And my hope is that it will happen progressively, once again, taking into consideration many also, you know, because it's not easy. It's more easy to say than to do. But what is good is that the trend is there. So, you know, a few years ago, I think in 2016, I'm not sure that I have the right figures, but in 2016-17, the monetary policy rate was at 25%. You know, so the difference is very big in less than 10 years. So, and continuing this way, we can really expect, and we will be happy to see that this trend will continue, and the final beneficiary of this trend will be the client,
Are the banks ready to comply? Are you ready to comply to also bring your rates down?
We are already complying. The interest rates we are doing today have nothing to do with the ones we were doing a few years ago, you know, for individuals and for companies. It means for enterprises and companies. The rates are really below what it was. Compared to some other countries, the rate's still high, once again, because you cannot change the trend in 1 year. Sometimes it is 5, 10 years, even sometimes more, to really, because if you do it in a short period, you will hurt the global mechanism of the industry and sometimes of the economy. This is why it's also prudent to do things with a good and a right vision of the future, but to do it by step, so that you will achieve the target of bringing the rates down by no sacrificing something big aside, you know.
Well, let's now bring you a summary of international business news. that'll be all for business with me, Charles Aite.
All right, and that'll be it for the bulletin. My name is Ezra Lai. Thank you very much for watching.